Here are 5 things that I would do if I had my concussion yesterday. First one, get that coconut water ASAP. I had my concussion yesterday, assuming I had the funds to do so. Coconut water helped not just hydrate me, but also help me get some of that potassium back that I was losing really, really fast. Not only was I already low on potassium prior to my concussion, but after my concussion, that leaked even more. Second thing, if I had my concussion yesterday, I would monitor my heart rate as much as I can. And what I mean by that is people tend to do better if they do the cardio aerobic exercise within 5 days of their concussion. But the thing with that is, especially if you live by yourself, your breathing can change from your concussion. Everything that you did before could be taking a lot more energy. It could be working you harder. Even washing my dishes back then would or could spike my heart rate to like 142 BPMs. And by then I was getting a workout from just washing dishes. And that, if I looked at the other stuff that spiked my heart rate, it could be as simple as going from my bedroom to my desk. By the time that I did that, my heart rate would be at like 113 BPM. And these were things that I noticed over time, but had I kept track of how frequently that was happening through the day, how the activities from living by yourself were actually giving me a physical workout, then I would understand why I was crashing so much and for so long after trying to do the dishes. I would not only monitor my heart rate per activity, but I would see which activities would spike my heart rate up past like 130 BPM, because even 113, 115 BPMs were technically like too much already. But past 130 was definitely, like, recovery for that was gonna take way longer. Third thing I would do are Epsom salt baths. And this is actually something that helped me a lot. Unfortunately, I don't have a bathtub to do the salt baths in anymore. And that might be harder for those who don't have access to that as well. But if you do, I would definitely recommend Epsom salt baths. Soak in them at least 20 minutes, at least every single day. And for me, what helped me more was like anywhere between like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And that was partially, I think, just because being neurodivergent already prior, being ADHD prior to my concussion, I needed time for transitions, so this could vary for some people who are already neurodivergent pre-concussion. But soaking in Epsom salt baths really helped my nervous system relax a lot. I needed to be able to relax my nervous system to minimize the tremors I was feeling. And this can also change per day. The length of time that I soaked in it might be longer the harder the day is for me. So that's why I say minimum 20 minutes. Epsom salt baths, wonderful for your nervous system. And when you're having and when you have a concussion, your nervous system can also be out of whack. You might be having more of a sensory overload. Fourth thing I would do are eye exercises. My vestibular was so messed up. Post-concussion, I also had binocular vision dysfunction and spatial dysfunction, something like that. But essentially how I looked at things was very fish eye. So not only did that make me more nauseous, but it also made me more anxious. So that contributed to my nervous system feeling all messed up. And when I first had my concussion, I could feel there were so many things wrong. I didn't know where to start. but the vision aspect was playing a massive role and contributed a lot to my anxiety. So looking back, I would start doing exercises for my eyes ASAP. There was a point where I couldn't see in my peripheral, about like in this area more or less, and that was something that made me anxious a lot, and I could feel my breathing be off anytime I tried to sense those things. Yeah, I would do eye exercises right away if you can, and get a gauge of how your breathing is during those eye exercises. Fifth thing I would do, this one is also a little bit harder if you don't have access to it already prior to the concussion, but hue lights. Hue lights were something that I relied on heavily prior to my concussion, because I could create a system for it that helped me while navigating ADHD, so I could already set timers for when the lights were going to turn off or when the lights were going to turn on, or making sure the lights turned off if I wasn't home, and making sure that the lights turned on if it was supposed to be like a time frame that I was supposed to start waking up or whatever it is, right? But hue lights were so beneficial after I learned that my body would respond better or worse depending on the intensity of the lighting and depending on the color of the lighting. So I guess I should say that more specifically, the colored versions of hue lights. So I actually got this idea, not that my vision therapist gave it to me, because I can't say, right? But I got this idea after noticing that my body responded to a specific color of blue better during vision therapy compared to something warmer. My body would actually tense up the warmer something was, and the cooler something was, the more I could feel my breathing be better or more aligned. Because anytime my breathing was off, I got more anxious. Then using proper lighting that actually helped my body relax really helped me make sure that the lighting I was using through the day minimized the tension I was feeling, because the more tense I was feeling through the day because of more intense lighting or harsher lighting, especially like fluorescent lighting and stuff, the harder it was for my body to recover. And at that point, it was about managing my energy, which I already was doing, being ADHD prior to my concussion, and that was already really, really, really difficult to try and manage all my spoons. But after my concussion, literally everything was like, if not 5 times harder, 10 times harder. It felt like the smallest tasks that were mildly doable with ADHD medication, with Adderall, was now harder even with Adderall, which honestly, if you have ADHD and you're medicated and you do use stimulants and they're effective for you, I would say, at least for me, it helps significantly to maintain the medications, because it helped my baseline start from a better place as opposed to starting where I would without any medications, which was significantly harder. Fifth one is making use of hue lights or colored lighting to pick a specific vibe that will help your body enter a place of relaxation a lot more intentionally through the day so that damage control can be less or minimized or decreased. I'm not sure how do you say it. Those are the 5 things that I would do right away if I could. If you've had a concussion before, I'm very curious what helped for you. Let me know in the comments and let me know what else could be helpful if you're recovering from a concussion.